know this thing was off. I probably why she was laughing at me. You better quit pushing your brother around. What? And if you stand there and allow it, I'll be punishing you for it, not the other way around. You're there to help him, not the other way around. I'm not going to debate it with you. What are you asking for? Because if I have to get up, I'm going to spank you for it. You don't even know where it's at. No, because you didn't even need food.
You get the candy tomorrow, okay? Stop it. Always want to eat candy. And your mom always wants to. Stop.
So I just kind of wanted to jump up on here real quick. And hopefully before this darn vlog ends, actually. Oh, wait, what? I can go ahead and kind of fix the settings and all that crap. I just wanted to jump up on here and give you guys my testimony because I feel like I haven't really been, how should I say it? I haven't been doing a lot of recording as of recently because we've been having a lot of issues. And honestly, we've been having issues all around, literally. So it's kind of, to one extent or the other, it's kind of hindered my ability. But honestly, I've had so much going on that I don't even know that even if I didn't have a working vehicle, I don't know that necessarily that would have, prevented the lack of content, if you understand what I'm saying. So I wanted to jump up on here and just share my testimony, as you guys can see through the thumbnail. Basically, giving my testimony of how God really performed a miracle and restored our marriage. How He's saved my children, literally. No. Through health and all these things, because there was, well, let me backtrack a bit. I don't think I've done enough vlogging on this channel personally, as I just stated, as it pertains to what's been going on. So first and foremost, for the past year and a half, my Aunt Donna Vargas has been attempting to do witchcraft over my marriage, over the health of my children, and ultimately, causing, her intention was to cause my husband and I to divorce and just destroying my kids' lives all around. Leave her alone, okay? And so that was her actual intention, was to basically destroy our marriage, to destroy the lives of my kids, basically, because once divorce happens, it really messes them up in a whole lot of different ways. Some that are seen, some that are not, and it's a bad all around situation. So basically, my Aunt Donna Vargas has a cousin who resides in Costa Rica who's a witch. She had, for the past 2 years, had been acting really strange. She was asking for photos of my family, anywhere from photos down to sending me weird ass gifts. And then after asking and requesting that they send pictures of my entire family. So that kind of didn't set right with me. I mean, that was really suspicious. I had growing up, I had a group of friends who were witches, so that's kind of how I knew what I'll look for. And I just kind of knew. And basically, she had 2 pictures, and she sent me a weird gift. And this was all like right around Christmas time, which, for those of you sleepy sheepies, for y'all that don't know, Christmas is actually an occultic celebration. We're not gonna litigate this because there ain't not a single mention of Christmas um, in the Bible. Okay, you can start from Genesis all the way down to Revelations. There ain't not a single mention of a biblical birthday as to or as it pertains to Jesus. That is just a tactic that this nation has used on you guys, and y'all just seem to fall for it. There is no mention that Jesus was actually born on the 25th of December. All right? I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to debate with you because I have investigated enough to know the truth. And honestly, I think you guys should too. Because if you knew what you were truly celebrating, first of all, it's a pagan celebration. It's a celebration of witches. That Christmas tree you put in your house every year, it's a form of sorcery. The gifts that go under it, another form of it. And those gifts act as a beacon to give your child's spirit and soul to these entities. But this is what they don't want to tell you guys. But anyways, we're not discussing faith. We're not discussing, these major holidays and things like that. That is a completely different vlog. This vlog was specifically my testimony of how God restored our marriage, how God really restored our entire life. Thank you. So first and foremost, like I had previously mentioned, my Aunt Donna Vargas was doing witchcraft over my marriage. She was doing witchcraft over my children, causing them ultimately to get this recent strange virus that was going around where it's basically RSV and the flu combined. Now, you're not going to sit here and unconvince me because there are demons and entities in just about every walk of, life. There's demons of depression, demons of anger, demons of rage, demons of suicide, demons of hostility. I mean, there's demons of drug addiction, pornography addictions, alcohol addictions. I mean, there's just a demon really for. There's even a demon for anxiety and panic disorder, and there's demons that create and promote sickness and disease. You're not gonna sit here and litigate that with me because I have done a lot of spiritual homework, I guess, so to speak, enough to know that that's just what the case is. Okay, and so as that pertains to my situation, after my aunt got the pictures of my family, that's when she sent me that really weird gift with my family, and then thereafter asked for another picture, which that in itself wasn't normal. This cousin, she claims, is in Costa Rica, and that's the one that is a witch and the one that has direct access to these things. And so I believe firmly, and I can say with conviction now, I believe that she was doing witchcraft and sorcery over my marriage, over my children, thus creating havoc. But here's the 360 full around, all right? My aunt, as far back as I can remember, as a little girl, it was always about my siblings, and they could give two hoo-ha's less about me. I was constantly disregarded. I was constantly, literally physically shoved aside. I was treated like as if I were some freaking peasant or a homeless person. Even though I had a family, I was still a good person. I was properly taken care of. It's mind-boggling, really. Okay? You don't treat family like that, and I don't care what walk of life you walk. And so, long story short, at the end of everything, she, got with this witch in Costa Rica who she claims is a cousin, I believe, from her deceased husband's side. And they did all of these things. And, I'll tell you, it wreaked havoc on my family for a period of time. Okay? I mean, it was just absurd. These things that I was saying, like, I would, I can't remember exactly verbatim, word for word, what I was saying. I just remember I was saying some really effed off things. I mean, as to word for word, obviously I can't really remember and disclose that because restoration has been had. And, usually when restoration is had, your memory is clean, your memory is, made new. so that the process of healing and that journey can continue. And so I really don't remember what all I was truly saying. I just remember that it was messed up, and it's just like it's it's one of those scary situations that you hope to never witness or be a part of, but somehow you just find yourself in it. So after she had done the initial witchcraft and sorcery over my marriage and over my children to get them sick and things like that, um, basically, I believe I was partially possessed. I can only just describe it as a sensation. Um, you know, I really, I really believe that I was becoming partially possessed. And here's the 360, y'all. I wasn't even doing anything. All it took was to sleep at strange hours of night. I will tell you, um, there would be times where I would get up at the wee hours of the morning, way before my husband, even before my kids. It would be like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and I'd be wide awake, like if it were 2 in the afternoon. Okay, that in of itself opens the portal for these entities, and it is bad enough that my blood last surviving related aunt had the audacity of doing witchcraft over my marriage and over my children. I feel so betrayed by this woman that I decided to put her out of my life. For real. And so, even after the witchcraft and the sorcery and things like that, um, you know, it, it's really painful to me because that's my last surviving aunt. Like it's not something that typically, you would expect of a family member. But it happened. It's I would like to think that it's done. And so as it pertains to me, so my aunt didn't know that I'm a strong woman of faith. My feet are really planted down into that ground. Like it's insane. So she didn't know that about me. She didn't know that I was a believer. And I'm so grateful for my husband. Really, this is just it just goes really beyond words. I can't even describe it. It's just wow. I'm so grateful for my husband that as ugly and possessed as I was, there was just really never a moment where he gave up on me. He was like, "Man, I'm gonna let this override. I'm gonna sleep it off. I'm just gonna, try to do my darn best to live my life, regardless of the fact, and just be obliged to it." And I'm truly immensely. I just really feel like words just can't express my gratitude for my husband because, despite of how possessed I was, despite of how I really can't remember what I said, but I know it had to be some downright ugly stuff. Okay? And I'm telling you guys, I really believe that I was partially possessed because I truly cannot believe the way I was behaving. Number one. Number two, I can honestly tell you, sitting here before all y'all, I can't really remember anything. I really do not remember what I was saying. And that shit is scary. That is really freaking scary. Because ordinarily, when you speak to another person, typically, right, without that spiritual and sorcery, the connotations and things like that, right, you typically would remember what you speak to another person. See, but when you become possessed and to that point, that's when things are forgotten. I mean, it's just horrendous to say the least. I mean, and honestly, it is horrific. I cannot believe that my last surviving blood related aunt, who has disregarded me much of my young life, which you don't be treating family like that anyhow, but not everybody in your family is family, period. I said what I said, and I am not taking it back. But she had the audacity and the nerve of doing witchcraft over my marriage, over my children to get them sick. And now, hear me out on this. Ordinarily, yes, they release viruses. Yes, people get sick, and that's just life. But the type of sickness that my children and I experienced was not normal. I could tell from the get go it was more than just this ordinary, typical virus. There was just something sinister behind it. And I knew it all along. And so like I said, I really believe full-heartedly I was partially possessed because I cannot remember the things that I spoke. And I just knew, I'm like, I just knew deep inside of my heart. I'm like, you need to calm yourself down. You got to be still for the moment. And you just got to think logically. So that was the three major thoughts that really, I think, did it for me. And so one day I drove my husband to work. I came home, I put some worship music on. And I'm like, man, I knew I had to do something extreme. What it was, I just really wasn't sure. I just knew it had to be extreme. So I sat in my car as I approached, our car, excuse me. I sat there for a good almost half an hour about half an hour, about 45 minutes. Pondering, I'm like, man, what is this thing that I gotta do that is so extreme that it's just gonna release our chains, it's gonna take away those strongholds, it's gonna bring restoration and revival. What is that one thing? And I literally could feel it like on my fingertips. Okay? And I'm like, holy cow, I need to be delivered. But here's the thing, it wasn't just me, it was myself, my husband. I had to pray over my children. Even though my kids were not aware that I was praying over them, I was. And I will tell you, holy crap. Bella, knock it off. I sat in that car for a good 45 something minutes. I prayed, I put some worship music on. I made the atmosphere in one to which I could communicate, with the Creator or God Himself. And I'm just like, you know what, God, if you are real, please take all of this away from me, destroy the witchcraft, return it to whoever sent it. I don't even care. I don't care that they're family. I just knew it had to be done, y'all. It had to be done. For me, it was horrifying because this is a personal family member of mine. My last surviving aunt is blood related, who, like I said previously, this woman has pretty much disregarded me much of my life. And so I'm like, okay, I'm like, oh my God, really, OMG. It was one of those OMG situations you're like, you hope to never find yourself in, but you do. And so I'm like, I asked God, I'm like, look, this is my aunt's name. This is what she did to my aunt and that witch from Costa Rica are responsible for my mom and my dad's divorce. And I have to come up publicly before you guys because this is what the Holy Spirit is asking me to do. Not only for me, but for the sanctity of my parents. Because for so many years, my parents were under the same spell. But you see, my parents were not strong in their faith. Not enough to withstand it. My mother was a child of the world, a child of the darkness, and still presently is. She has not... I don't know if she doesn't want to. I don't know if it's just like her personal belief. But she is one of the world, okay? She belongs to the, world. And not a child of God. And there's nothing more in this world that I want than for my mother to be a child of God. I want her to be, made new. Because I know a few of the sins that have been committed. Okay? I'm not going to say a name and do all that. No. This is 2023, not 2021, okay? And so watch your fingers for me, okay? Oh no, I can't have you do that. No, you'll get burned. Um, and so my mom hasn't come to God. I would love if my mom did. That would be so cool. Oh, thank you. And so, I don't see that happening. And I'll tell you for what it is. I do know a couple of the sins that were committed, and they're pretty large scale ones. And I just really want to rebuke all those demons that attached to my mom. I want to help her be made new in His image, but she has to repent of those sins. Honestly, don't hurt your fingers. Mom. And that's just what it is. But as it pertains to my aunt, Donna Vargas is fully responsible for conspiring with this witch from Costa Rica. They are responsible for the divorce of my father and my mother. Okay, so stop. No. And it's heartbreaking that my parents were not strong enough, to withstand the sorcery that my aunt bestowed upon them. I wonder how my dad would feel if he knew that his biological sister did witchcraft on him, because she had this demon of envy, this demon of anger, this demon of depression. Emma, get your sister. She had a lot of demons with her personally. Well, and so I'm wondering if she was even at some point, if she was ever aware that she possessed these demons on her own by herself. And this was long before the witchcraft. Because that's a big no-no. And then for her to go do witchcraft, conspire with this other witch from Costa Rica, cause my parents to divorce out of her own hatred and eagerness to destroy the family unit that we had. And never mind that, but then on top of that, she recently was at it again, trying to destroy my personal marriage with my husband. She wanted to ruin the lives of my 5 beautiful, overly rambunctious children, and I'm not having it. So like I said, I stayed in that car for a good 45 minutes, and I'm like, man, what is that one thing, God, that you need me to do? What is that one thing that you need me to do? And y'all know what it was? Ask for full-on deliverance from the witchcraft, from these entities that just wouldn't let up. So I did this full deliverance about 2 weeks ago. Subsequently, I got subsequent attacks. And I was able finally, just these past 2 days, to come out of that clean. I finally felt a peace for the moment. I felt calm. I felt like I could actually breathe again. One of the most scariest things that happened to me during this process was being partially... This is really scary stuff, y'all. Really scary. But one of the scariest things was that I was partially possessed, and that I cannot remember for the life of me the things that I was saying. And I'm glad that I don't, because they must have been some downright awful things. But let me tell you something. To have this done unto me by a blood-related aunt, that's betrayal in the fullest form of every sense of the word. And here's the deal. As a little girl, I can tell you, as far back as I can remember, I knew I was never one of this world. I was always a child of God. I even asked if I was Jewish, for crying out loud, because that's how much I was on search for the Father. Well, anyways, long story short, I got baptized with my husband back in December of 2017. Best year of our lives. And this this aunt of mine had the audacity of trying witchcraft between last year and this year. She was just acting so strange. Like, y'all, I'm telling you, to ask for pictures of my full family and out of nowhere. But you see, part of me was like dumb and naive, and I'm like, oh well, she's your tia, so yeah, okay. But then I kind of had a very uncanny feeling, something just unsettling and telling me that this just wasn't right, because she never behaves like that. She never calls me. She never talks to me. She never emails me. She's not involved with any of the lives of my kids, nor my husband and I. Nothing. And then on Christmas, my dad came up over here, chillaxing with the fam, right? And he's like, "Oh, your Aunt Donna just sent this for you. Let me take a picture." I'm like, "What? Why would the woman need another picture?" As I was thinking to myself, right? And the behavior just wasn't adding up. It was a 360 all around weird. And to give me a black blanket, like, come on, y'all. And then that's when I tell you I begun to feel like I was partially possessed. And to some extent, I just really cannot, I truly cannot remember what I said. But I know that it was scary. It was awful. The sensation of being possessed, just feeling like you are in a cold, dark place. It's just wretched all around. And you feel stuck there. You spiritually feel stuck there. It's just awful. And, you know, I sat in that car and I'm like, okay, let's do it. I gave God my aunt's name. I told God about, you know, this cousin that she has from her deceased husband who resides in Costa Rica, who's a witch. I gave it all to God. And you know what? In the end, I was asking God, I'm like, God, if you are real, if you are truly real, as I have once believed, I need you to give me a revelation. I need you to give me a testimony, something to speak on the fire of your spirit. I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm like, God, I need you to do a miracle for my marriage. I need you to receive every one of my 5 children. I need you to cover them with your blood. I need them to be surrounded by your presence. I need you to get rid of these illnesses and diseases that they had. And let me tell you, he delivered. He restored my marriage. He restored the health of all 5 of my babies, even my oldest. It was a wretched experience being in the hospital with my kids because they couldn't breathe. Having to see them struggle to take medications that are just disgusting all around. And for those of you who don't know, I am a personal practitioner of natural holistic medicine. I've been doing it for almost 11 years now. And I despise when I have to use this modernized medicine and turn to the medical community or system in general. But God brings you to what he knows you can handle. And so I asked for full-on deliverance and miracle upon my marriage, miracle of health be restored to my children. And guess what? Every single one was answered. I even asked them, I said, you know what, God? I'm 36 years old. I really don't believe that I can conceive a child anymore. You know, if you really, you know, are really there, and if you are hearing me, please help me to conceive. I want to see and believe that I can conceive again. Pregnancy doesn't scare me. Like, I'll tell y'all, dude, I died on the operation table back in 2019. My husband said it was for 4 hours that they were trying to bring me back to life. Okay? So let that sink in. And I'm blessed because I'm here, because I can not only help to fight for your freedom, I'm here to help fight for your soul and your spirit and everything else in between. And moving forward, I want to teach you guys that it doesn't matter what level of witchcraft it is. It doesn't matter who did it. Like in my situation, it was my aunt, Donna Vargas. I wonder how my dad would feel, really, if he knew that she was the reason that they got divorced. Apart from my mom being a complicated person. It's just so miraculous to me, y'all. It is just so amazing. But I wanted to jump up on here and share my testimony because, you see, because I never let myself fully be taken over. I knew God was going to come at some point in time. I knew I just had to hold to his promises and cling to his, his love. And ultimately, clinging to my faith and to his love is what saved me from full-on possession. And I am so immensely grateful for my husband because there was never a moment where that man let anything that I said or did affect him in any way, shape, or form. If even if it was just simply laying in that bed and taking a nap, that's what happened. But there was never a moment in time where he ever gave up on me. And because of that, our marriage has been restored. And actually, moving forward, I would say that out of an ugly situation as this situation, that my aunt Thea, whatever the hell you want to call her, my last surviving aunt, did upon my marriage and my children. Out of that ugly situation that she did upon us. Because we are delivered and we are finally okay. Finally okay. It brought my husband and I and our bond with each other like this. It brought us that much more close. But my aunt, Donna Vargas, did not realize that we were people of faith, that we are strong in the faith. And she doggone downplayed us. But you know what? She really played herself thinking that we were going to fail and that we were going to fall. It's crazy, isn't it? But if you take anything away from this video, it is that it doesn't matter if it's a blood family member or a witch from the street or anywhere else. Because if you believe in God with all of your heart and all of your might, you will be delivered no matter the severity of the situation. And you will once again feel freedom because your freedom is found in the Father. As long as you ask to be delivered and you truly mean it with all of your heart and you ask for forgiveness of your sins, you will truly know the meaning of freedom and what it means to be redeemed and to be brand new, made in his image. And not only that, but you become his own son or daughter. So don't forget that. No matter how bad your situation or circumstances are, no matter how much you're hurting, God always loves you regardless of the fact. And all you got to do is get down on your knees, open your arms, and ask him to deliver you from whatever it is that you need. You are loved and appreciated. Just remember that. Love you, fam. I'm out.